Hey guys, what's up? It's Sam from The Prosperous Pursuit. Usually I write weekly blog posts, but this week I was inspired to try something new and film a video rather than write a post because I'm sure some of you would rather watch and listen than read. But that being said, let's get into it. So today I want to talk about this concept that everything in our life is invented. All the rules we think we need to follow, the societal standards we think we need to meet, where we think we should be by a certain point in our life, this idea that at some point we need to get a real job or a good job. It's really all just constructs made up by people who are likely no smarter than you or I are. And I'm sure you've heard the phrase, life doesn't come with a rule book. And maybe life doesn't, but typically society does. And our society goes something like, obey your parents and your teachers, get good grades so you can go to college, so you can get a decent paying job, so that you can buy a house and get married and start a family and climb the corporate ladder so that you can buy a nicer house and nicer cars. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's truly what you want for your life. But for many people, that's a rather limiting rulebook and most of all, unfulfilling rulebook. But the great thing is that that rulebook is just something that's invented and we don't actually have to follow it. So I'm currently reading The Art of Possibility by Rose and Ben Zander. I don't know if you've ever read it. One of my mentors said this is the closest thing he has to a Bible, and I can totally see why. It's an amazing book if you haven't read it. But the first chapter is all about this idea that everything in our life is invented. And it gives this awesome example that I want to share with you guys because this is what really helped me understand this concept. So if you've seen this before, it may not be that much of an eye-opener, but if you haven't, there's this thing called the 9-dot diagram. And the instructions say to connect the 9 dots using 4 straight lines. So here's the 9 dots. And if you've never seen that before, you might just want to pause the video real fast and try and trace with your finger and connect those 9 dots. You'll quickly find that the 9 dots can't be connected by 4 straight lines if you add the clause into the rule that you have to stay within the box. And many of us, I would like to argue most of us, do add that clause into the rules. And we try to figure out how the 9 dots can be connected with 4 straight lines without leaving that box. But in fact, the dots can only be connected if you leave the box, like so. And that's also how a lot of us live our lives. We see a limited amount of possibilities because we're trying to live within this box or these unspoken rules that govern our lives and society. But that rule that we have to stay within that box of society isn't actually there. It's just something we assume, and we all have the power to invent a new rule book at any moment because that other one is simply an invention of someone else's imagination. So there's just one other line from this book that I want to read you guys that is one of my favorite lines. It says, every problem, every dilemma, every dead end we find ourselves facing in life only appears unsolvable inside a particular framework or point of view. And that could not be closer to the truth. As soon as we break down these rules that we're subconsciously living by, we open ourselves up to an entire universe of possibility where you can actually play video games for a living and do quite well at it, and you can be an artist for a living and not be starving, and you can live in a hut on the beach if that's all you desire to do. And all this stuff we think we have to do and have to keep up with society is really all just inventions of other people's imaginations, and you can bring all those elements of your imagination into reality. So I was so inspired to share this with you all because the other night I was laying in bed going to sleep and I was feeling really overwhelmed and stressed, and I just hadn't got as much work done as I wanted to get done that day, and I didn't really spend any time outside or do anything for myself, and just kind of felt like I wasted the whole day. And I was laying there and something clicked, and this concept like finally made complete sense in my mind. And it just occurred to me, like, why was I taking life so seriously? And a lot of us do take life so seriously, but that's just an invented construct that doesn't actually exist. And it was in that moment I decided to invent a new one for myself, that life is fun and life is a game that I get to wake up and have so much fun playing every day. And I've been approaching things in my life differently since then, since I decided that life was fun. So something like making this video or writing a blog post, rather than that being a task that I have to check off of my to-do list to grow my business, it's just something that I now see is so much fun. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see how this works, and just having fun with it. And it just feels like this big cloud lifted off of my creative energy. And that is such a small example, and really the first thing I've done to invent my own rules in this life, and I already see the positive effects of it. So I wanted to share this concept with you guys, because I'm sure, like 100% positive, there are rules that you are subconsciously living by that are limiting the possibilities you see available in your life. And if you can just begin to notice a few of those rules, especially the ones that aren't serving the reality that you would like to be living in, and restructure those rules and write new ones, you can also open your world to a whole new set of possibilities that are far more fulfilling to you and aligned with your soul's desires. So after I had this moment that night, I came across this video by Steve Jobs, a really, really old interview of him, and he was basically saying the same exact thing, that everything is invented and we have the power to invent whatever we want. And I just, again, saw how powerful it was, because this phone that I'm filming this video on and everything he created that really transformed our world would not exist if he had lived within the confines of the rules we think we have to live by. And I'm just gonna insert this video right here and play it real fast for you guys. It's just a 45-second clip.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
I know this concept can seem a little far out at first, especially if it's something you've never heard before, but it really is so powerful and rather simple when you start to put it in practice. It's just a matter of peeling back some of those layers of societal conditioning and making small changes to the way you think about and approach life. That being said, I am here and happy to help any of you with it. So if this is a concept you really want to implement but are kind of struggling on how to, or just struggling to understand it, please leave a comment below or just send me an email. I'll leave my email in the video description. And if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so I can make more videos like this. I really enjoyed doing it, and as always, I leave you with love and gratitude.